Welcome back to part 3 or 4. I haven't decided what, but probably part 3 of checking out all of my species Polychilos types. And just as a reminder, if you see blooms, most of these are continuous bloomers. If they are hybrids, they're not always going to be continuous bloomers, just so you know. Or sequential bloomers. I shouldn't say continuous. I guess that's the same thing, right? Sequential, continuous. Anyway. Let's get started. Again, not sponsored by Starbucks, just love that cup. Talk about my fowl, Yoko. So this one I've had over 2 years. I've had it since the 21st of January in 2021. I purchased it from Orchids Limited, otherwise known as like Orchid Web. There she is. She is a cross of Aphrodite and Wilsonii. She came with 3 beautiful big leaves, and well, you see what I got left. And initially I had her in moss and bark and perlite, my setup for these type. She didn't like it. She didn't do anything for a whole year. And then last year, she grew a little wanky leaf that used to sit right here. It has since nest itself. And she is in a ginormous pot, because these roots that you see are very much like Schilleriana roots, where they're a little firm, they don't give. So this is the smallest pot I could fit her roots in. Look at all the roots she has. Like, she's got roots in here. She's got support at the bottom. This is all she has at the top left. So she attempted to grow a leaf here. And as you can see, she's starting another leaf there. I'm kind of thinking this is a keiki. Not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I'm thinking this might be a keiki. However, she's still alive. She's still trying. So she's going to stay. Because I know a few weeks ago I had threatened to throw her away, which someone did request if I decided not to keep her, to have her. And Sherry, I haven't forgot about that. So if I do end up making up my mind that I'm not going to try with her anymore, you will be receiving her. But for now, we are going to keep her here with the ICPU, the Intensive Care Plant Unit, which a lot of my plants are now in. Not all of them. Not the majority. It's a small percentage, but still. It feels like a lot when you have some. And then I call this my ninja orchid. That is not its official name, but this is the orchid that if you are a member at Nina's channel, the Orchid Ninjas, then this is the orchid that basically belongs to us on her channel. I've had it since January of 22. It is the Phalaenopsis cornucervi chateladeae, species native to Southeast Asia. And the date that's on here is when I repotted her, guys. It's not when I got her. There it is. Sit. Again, I had her in a bark and moss layer, where the moss was bark, then moss, bark, then moss. She didn't like that. So what I did is I took her out, I cut up the moss real fine and mixed it in. And since then, this girl's like, yep, this is what I wanted. She finished this leaf, is growing this leaf, and has just shot out roots all over the place. Look at the root tip there. Isn't that beautiful? Just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And one day, I too shall see the smiley face on her blooms. All right, we'll move her out of the way. Not much to say about her. Not much to say about her. And then we have this one, which I kind of wanted to add her into all of the other ones with Lekka, but I kind of forgot about her, so here she is now. This is the Phalaenopsis bellina wild type. She's a species native to Borneo. And again, Brookside Orchids. I bought her in August of 22. So there's her tag right there. Got to tell y'all, Brookside, Orchid Supply, and Big Leaf Orchids. Those are my 3 favorite orchid suppliers right now. Just throwing that out there. And for those of you who don't know, you can go to orchidsupply.store.com and use coupon code TRISH at checkout in the coupon area for a 12% viewers discount. Ken over at the Orchid Supply Store does sponsor our channel, and almost all of my orchids now are in pots and media purchased from there. He also has houseplants and houseplant supplies. Oh, and birdhouses. I know I mentioned this in one of the videos, but I can't wait for those birdhouses to come in. So excited. Anyway, so she is in LECA. This is a self-watering container, and there is a little, what is that? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, guys. Brain cramp. Anyway, this absorbs the water in the reservoir and pulls up into the LECA. I flush her minimum once a week. She struggled for quite some time. She wasn't doing anything, no roots, no anything. But since I redid the LECA with Orchid Supply Store LECA, I usually don't do this. I don't do this often, but I'm just going to kind of tug on the side, but she is not moving, whereas before, she would move. These LECA beads would just start wiggling everywhere. She grew this leaf last year. She came with this leaf and finished it, and then she grew this one last year. She grew this one not under the Baruna lights. I took her out of the Baruna lights, and she actually sits, again, about 10 feet away from this east-facing window with no supplemental lighting at all. And she is now working on a new leaf there, and her root tips are starting to activate up again. Let's see. Can you see that? Isn't that beautiful? So I'm excited to see what she does. I keep looking for a spike, but then I realize she is not healthy enough, so even if she were going to push out a spike, I wouldn't let her bloom. She needs to recover from my miscare. And then let's talk about my Moonlight here. Now this is the DTPS Phalaenopsis Moonlight. I purchased her, let's see if I can get the tag out. I purchased her at Lowe's in June of 2022, so very recent acquisition. I saw her about, I don't know, maybe a year ago, could be over a year ago, and I've been on the lookout since then. I have not been able to find her. Went to Lowe's for something else. This was the only one they had. I was like, I'm taking it. I don't even care what's going on inside this pot. I'm taking her. I actually got lucky because she does have a nice little root system in the pot, and she is still growing this leaf. It is still nice and tender on the edges, and as you can see, her blooms are starting to go over, but this is what they call the big leaf fowl, or big lip fowl, I'm sorry. Isn't she gorgeous? And for those of you who've been watching me for a while now, I'm not a big fan of the white phowls, just white flowers in general, just not a big fan. But for something, this one here just speaks to me. Just the purity of the bloom speaks to me with just those little hints of color right at, I call this the nose, and then right there in the center with the yellow. It just speaks to me. I don't know what it is. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, that is so pretty. And then the second thought was, ooh, Patricia and Nina would really love this orchid because I do know they like the white flowers. I will be cutting her spike here soon because she did lose one flower already, and as you can see, they're getting a little tired, and let her rest off of that. I'll probably cut it to probably right here, let her absorb this, and then as soon as I see new roots growing, or if I see root tips, I see root tips, look at that. She's going to be repotted. But she came in this cute little container here, and she has, is it Amabilis? Amabilis? I'm probably not saying that right, but it's one of her parents. So she is a hybrid with some species in there. That's why she was included. And you know what? Let's talk about these two right here, because these two are technically the same orchid. These are both Phalaenopsis looseberry. This one I bought at Lowe's in 2021, and it is a Phalaenopsis hybrid. That's what it says. So there's that Phalaenopsis looseberry tag. And then this Phalaenopsis looseberry is called Orchid House. This one I bought again from Orchid Classics in 2021. Now this one, I didn't buy it on purpose. They had a deal where you could pick 5 species or polychilos type orchids for a certain amount. I asked them to choose those for me. This came in. I did not look through to see that the Phalaenopsis looseberry was one of the options for me to say, except that one. I don't care I have 2 of them because, again, if you want an orchid that is going to bloom, grow roots, grow leaves, this is the girl for you. Let me move the Lowe's one out of the way. So the one I got from Orchid Classics is in all moss. And this is the one that I put the aerial roots in. And as you can see, where the X's are, those aerial roots are still doing well. Now there are some that did give up the ghost and leave the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpot her, cut off all the dead roots, and then just put her right back into the same media. Just because I just recently repotted her I did not write it down, but I know it's only been a month or so that I've repotted her, so I don't want those dead roots to mess up my new media here. But look at the aerial roots. This girl here is loving life. Like, she is an aerial root producer. And this is another one that I just saw something about to show you guys that likes to bloom. I recently cut her spike. She actually had 2, I believe, and she quickly started this leaf, which she is still growing, and this spike. And while I'm running my mouth, happened to look, and we have another spike coming out next to the spike that was already there. So, oh, nope, that's a root. That's a root. My bad. It's a root. It's not a spike. Okay. Whew. I was going to be like, okay, girl, come on. I'm going to need you to rest for a minute. Now, this one, I am going to let her go ahead and bloom just because she is growing that new leaf while she's blooming. However, this one, this lovely looseberry here, you look at her. She looks so sad, so very sad, but she is so very happy. She has a bazillion roots inside the pot, a bazillion roots outside the pot, but she keeps starting a leaf and then she spikes. She starts this leaf and we have a spike. So again, once these blooms start to bud out, this lady right here is getting cut because I need her to concentrate on some leaf growth. She's doing the roots, she's doing the spikes, but I need some leaves because she really looks sad. Like, she looks like she is not a healthy orchid, but she is. She just likes to show off and give us flowers. Oh, and this one is in all bark and perlite. And I did that since I had the 2. I was going to see if one grew better in moss and the other one grew better in perlite. They grow the same. It's all about the environment, really. So if someone tells you you cannot grow a Phalaenopsis in moss, you can literally tell them, yes, you can, because I've seen it. Put that back over here before I lose the text. Excuse me. And then let's talk about this one here. So this one is the Phalaenopsis Icing Venus, which is a cross between Dragon's Gold and Icing Violatrice. There we are. And again, Brookside Orchids. I got her in July of 22, so a year ago. And when she came, she was double spiked. Beautiful blooms. If I can find the pictures, I'll show them. But since she's been in my care, she grew this leaf first. Then she grew this leaf. Then this one. And they seem, do you see a pattern here, guys? They're getting bigger. And they're getting whiter. Like this one here. I love that. And now she's working on this gorgeous new leaf here, as well as putting roots down into the pot. Now she is in a clay pot, as you can obviously see, with perlite, charcoal, moss, and bark. And I think I'm going to unpot her from here and put her in a plastic pot, because as much as I love my terracotta, I am trying to transition out of using the terracotta, because this right here, I mean, she's wet right now because I watered her last night. She's wet, but even not wet, this is still kind of heavy for me. So as you can see, my hand shaking. So in order to avoid stressing the hand that I just had surgery on, having to get re-surgery on, I'm going to transition everything into plastic. And I will be using my Orchid Supply Store materials. We're going to talk about her last. Now let's talk about the two Schillerianas I have. Oh my goodness. You know what, I'm just going to take her out of here, because this one here is quite heavy. It's got lava rock and rocks at the bottom. Now, let's see, which one do we want to talk about first? Let's talk about the one I've had the longest. So this one I bought from Yoshi over at Orchids by the Lake back in August of 2021. So almost 2 years ago. There's her tag. I cannot manage to keep more than 3 leaves on her. She had 3 leaves at the beginning of the season. She senesced a bottom leaf. As long as it's a bottom leaf, I'm okay. I just would like more leaves. And other than her root here, and she does have a nice new root growing right there, she is not doing anything. And when I was talking about the stiffness of the roots, these roots on a Schilleriana, if you have one, you know they are not forgiving at all. Doesn't matter how long you soak them, they're not going to bend. They're there, you work with what you got. And again, this is the smallest pot that I could fit her roots in, because this one root that you see right here, it starts here. This is that root, and I know that because when I put it in the pot to try to get her in here, this root was already kind of circling, so that's why it's down at the bottom, and this was the top of the root. So I know that root goes with this, and it wraps around the whole pot. She literally only has maybe 4 roots in here, so I need her to produce some more roots, and I need her to produce another leaf. I don't really care about blooms at this point. I just need more than 2 or 3 leaves on this thing at one time. If you have any idea how to do that, comments are below. I would so appreciate that. Now she sits in an east-facing window, and that is where I have found she does the best, in front of a window, not a grow light. Initially, I did have her under the grow light. She didn't do anything. I put her in the small bedroom, which is a southwest-facing windows, and that's when she put on the most growth, which was a leaf and roots. So I may have to move her out of the east-facing window back into that southwest-facing window, see if that makes any difference. And then this beauty here is, yeah, I'm just leaving tags laying around. Good thing I know what my orchids are, huh? This one here is the Phalaenopsis Schilleriana, which is Schilleriana Sakura King, which is an awarded Schilleriana, AM an AM and AOS, plus CCE / AOS, and it's crossed back to itself. There's that. Now this one I purchased from Norman's Orchids back in May of this year, so I've only had her a couple of months. But in that couple of months, this girl's like, hold my coffee, I'm going to show you something. Because, can't really see it in here, but she does have, these are her tired roots. These are the roots that I keep on the outside to monitor the root system. I mean, they're tired looking, but they are still working. She has all of her leaves that she came with, as well as, look here, this new growth. I love the patterning on these Schillerianas. And I love the difference between both of these. Look at this. This one has mild mottling, whereas this one has very distinctive, almost like snake skin. I love it. Love it. And I keep stressing, because this one right here, you know, the original, I can only keep 2 leaves. So I keep stressing and watching her leaves. Like, please don't desiccate, please don't desiccate, please don't senesce, please don't go away. So far, she's doing pretty good, pretty good. Now, she is in a broken moss and bark mixture. And last but not least, you know what? I'm going to make this, we'll make this number 2. I'm going to make this part 2, maybe. But we have the beautiful, the one, the only, Phalaenopsis Sweet Memory Lodorio. It is a Phalaenopsis devonteriana crossed with Phalaenopsis violacea. Purchased from Big Leaf Orchids in April. She did come with the spike. And I am going to remove this strap for a second, because I'm going to show you something. So, about mid-April, June, now it is mid-July. So, 2.5 months ago, she came with this leaf. And this is what I was talking about. The leaf kind of grows kind of straight. And you're like, why is it not fattening like this? So this leaf right here is almost done, and eventually she's going to fatten back up. She does have a new leaf starting. Like I was saying, she did come in with the spike. The spike extended, developed 2 buds, and this opened last night. Look at that. She is just, you know what, guys, it's worth it. For those of you who are on the fence about whether or not to get this girl, like, the camera is doing it justice, but nothing like seeing this girl in person. Oh my goodness. I mean, you can just appreciate her so much better in person. All that speckling on the sepals and petals, and then the stripes, the solid stripes at the bottom, and the lip. Oh my goodness. Just beautiful. Now, she doesn't have a scent yet, because she did just open, so I'm going to give her a few days. But she sits in the corner over here with a Barina light hanging from the ceiling, just kind of off right here. The reason that I have it strapped, the leaf strapped over, is because initially she was growing straight down, like coming this way. Didn't want that. Oh, I already put that orchid away, but the one where it's very uniform, I want that. I want that uniform. I'm a little OCD, guys, just a little bit. So what I do is, this is just tomato strap that you can buy at your Tractor Supply, Lowe's, hardware store, anywhere where they sell tomato supplies. That's all this is. It's just the Velcro tomato strap. And all I do is I just hook it under the leaf right underneath it, and gently I'm going to hook her on here, so that as she hardens off in the direction that I want her to harden off on. So once this area right here is a little bit firmer, I will take the strap back off, so that as she's expanding her leaf, she has room to do so, and it doesn't become another wanky growth. She is in all moss. She came to me in all moss, so she is in all moss. And look at all those beautiful roots. Oh my goodness, look at the root tip. Loving it. And these are white, guys. Most of these roots are not going to be as green as the others, simply because I do keep her in a decorative pot to block out the light. And then I know she looks deep in this pot. However, if you look, the moss layer is to here, which is where her crown is. So her crown is just sitting on moss. And how I water all of my girls that are in moss, I don't water from the top. I just set them in a bowl. And then the water line comes to about right here, whatever size the pot is. It's about, what is that, about an inch or 2. And then as I see the water start rising up, I will take them out, and then I leave them setting in a drip tray until all of the excess water is out, so they're not sitting in water. She now is probably drying out every 3 days, whereas when I first got her, she once a week. But she's doing a lot of stuff, taking up a lot of energy, so she's drinking a lot more water. You know, like when you're out in the yard in the middle of the summer, you drink more water than you do in the winter time, even if you don't normally drink water, because she's finishing a leaf, growing a leaf, working on another bud, and a flower spike. So she's a busy girl, busy girl. So guys, I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me and watching all of these. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to leave them in the comments. And if you'd like more information on any of the girls, whether it's just a general question, again, the comments, or if you'd like me to do a more in-depth video on any of these, let me know that too. I'm more than happy to do that for you. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.